You won't believe what happened deep in the heart of Montana's Bitterroot Valley. For months, a gentle 48-year-old female elephant named Ellie, rescued from a defunct traveling circus, had captured the hearts of the entire staff at Silver Creek Wildlife Sanctuary. Something about her pregnancy just didn't feel right. Her belly was huge, far beyond what anyone expected. Dr. Harold Bennett, a 62-year-old retired wildlife vet turned full-time caretaker, had a gut feeling this wasn't an ordinary birth. He'd seen enough in his 3 decades to know when nature was holding a secret. As the weeks passed, Ellie became less mobile, and Harold couldn't shake the thought that this wasn't just a large baby. It was something more. And that's when he made a bold decision that changed everything. If this story's already got your heart racing, just wait. What happens next is nothing short of a miracle. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next part of this unbelievable journey into the wild, where every story holds a lesson about love, resilience, and the bond between humans and animals. What Harold did next wasn't just instinct. It was experience, whispering through years spent saving animals no one else believed in. He called an emergency staff meeting under the old cottonwood tree near the sanctuary gates. "We need eyes on Ellie 24/7, he said, his voice steady but urgent. "This isn't normal, and I won't risk losing her." From that day forward, the team reorganized everything. Lawn maintenance was paused. School group visits postponed. Everyone rotated in day and night shifts, keeping a respectful watch from a distance. Ellie, as if sensing their concern, would glance toward the observation post with those wise, ancient eyes, her breathing slow but heavy. Harold even dusted off his old field bag, the same one he carried across Kenya's Tsavo Plains back in '89, and stocked it with emergency birthing supplies. Just in case, he told himself, though his gut screamed louder each night, something's coming and it's big. His wife, Carol, brought warm blankets and herbal compresses, quietly supporting from the background. The sanctuary felt like it was holding its breath. Each sunrise was met with a question. Will today be the day? Little did they know. The miracle that awaited them wasn't just rare, it was history in the making. Then came the morning that stopped time. At exactly 6:12 a.m., one of the overnight volunteers radioed Harold from the south pasture. "Ellie's down. She hasn't moved in over an hour. Breathing's heavy." In seconds, Harold grabbed his bag and drove straight out across the dew-covered field. The air was thick with silence, not fear, not yet, but a powerful sense of something beginning. Ellie lay on her side beneath the big sycamore, eyes half closed, trunk twitching slightly. Her breathing was slow, deep, labored. Harold approached with the tenderness of an old friend. "I'm here, girl," he whispered, placing a hand on her coarse side. And then he felt it, a subtle, rolling motion beneath her skin. Contractions, strong, rhythmic. The moment had arrived. Without hesitation, Harold administered a carefully measured dose of oxytocin, something he hadn't used in over a decade. He sat beside her, quietly counting each breath, his heart pounding harder than it had in years. A low groan escaped Ellie, then another. And finally, with a great heave, the calf began to emerge, wet, fragile, and blinking in the golden morning light. It was breathtaking, but just when everyone thought the miracle was complete, something else happened that no one could have imagined. As Harold knelt beside Ellie and gently guided the newborn calf toward its mother, the sanctuary staff erupted with quiet cheers, their voices hushed by awe. The baby was alive, breathing, moving, and instinctively reaching for Ellie's warmth. Tears welled in Harold's eyes. "You did it, girl," he whispered, voice cracking. But then, Ellie groaned again, her body tensed. Harold froze. He placed his hand back on her belly. Another contraction, strong, deliberate, unmistakable. His breath caught in his throat. "Oh my God," he muttered. "There's another." For a moment, no one moved. Then, the energy shifted. A twin birth? In elephants? That was beyond rare. It bordered on the impossible. He'd read about it, sure, maybe 2 or 3 times in documented history, but never once in a North American sanctuary. His heart raced. Every second now counted. Ellie cried out, her trunk lifting weakly. Harold moved fast, adjusting her position slightly to make room. The team fell silent again, instinctively knowing that they were witnessing something historic. 15 agonizing minutes passed before the second calf finally slipped free, smaller but alive, wriggling, blinking, reaching for air. There was no applause this time, just stunned silence, then soft sobs of joy. The sun broke fully over the trees, casting golden light over the scene like a blessing. What happened next didn't just touch hearts, it reached something sacred in the soul. As the second calf blinked against the sunlight, struggling to lift its tiny head, Harold fell to his knees. Not out of exhaustion, but reverence. This wasn't just a birth. It was a revelation. Ellie, now breathing easier, gently nudged each calf with her trunk, the way a mother might softly touch her newborn's face with trembling fingers. The sanctuary crew stood in quiet awe, their cameras forgotten, their voices caught in their throats. And then, as if on cue, a deep rumble echoed from beyond the ridge. Emerging slowly through the morning mist was Samson, the sanctuary's only adult male elephant, and Ellie's longtime companion. He moved with surprising gentleness, his massive feet barely disturbing the grass. When he saw the twins, he paused, his ears lifted, trunk curling in the air. Then he stepped forward. He didn't trumpet. He didn't charge. Instead, he reached his trunk toward Ellie and laid it lightly across her shoulder. That's when something incredible happened. From the nearby trees, the rest of the small herd, elephants who'd once been rescued from roadside zoos, logging camps, and abandoned circuses, stepped forward one by one. They gathered in a quiet circle around Ellie and her calves, forming a protective wall of love. No fences, no barriers, just pure, instinctive unity. Even Harold had to wipe his eyes, because in that moment, it didn't feel like humans were rescuing elephants. It felt like the elephants were reminding us what family really means. But here's the truth most people never talk about. Sometimes it's the animals who teach us how to love, how to wait, how to believe. For Harold, this moment wasn't just about biology or conservation, it was about faith. The kind that doesn't always come from textbooks, but from lived experience, quiet observations, and listening to what can't be said out loud. He had spent a lifetime rescuing wildlife, patching up wounded creatures and nursing them back to health. But this was different. The sanctuary had always been a place of second chances. For Ellie, for Samson, for every elephant that had ever known a cage. But on this morning, surrounded by sunlight, mud, and the soft trumpets of newborn calves, it felt more like sacred ground. Harold sat quietly under the tree, watching the herd adjust around the babies, protecting them, welcoming them. The twins leaned clumsily into their mother, legs wobbly, eyes full of innocence. One of them let out a tiny, squeaky trumpet, and every adult elephant turned, responding with a low, collective rumble. That's when Harold realized something powerful. They weren't just surviving anymore, they were thriving. And it happened because someone believed in them long enough to give them space, time, and dignity. You ever witness a moment so pure, so unexpected, that it changes the way you see the world? That's exactly what happened to Harold as he stood beside the pasture fence later that afternoon, staring out at the elephant family. The twins had taken their first wobbly steps, legs trembling, ears flapping like confused little flags in the wind. Ellie watched them with a mix of exhaustion and pride, her body still recovering, but her spirit visibly alight. Samson never strayed more than a few feet, constantly alert, a silent guardian, gentle and towering. And then came the moment Harold would never forget. Both calves, barely a few hours old, leaned into Ellie's side and then, with awkward, beautiful determination, reached their tiny trunks toward Samson. He paused, lowered his massive head, and touched each of them back with the softest grace. It was instinct, yes, but it was also something deeper: connection, legacy, love. Harold stepped back, placing a hand over his heart. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. In that quiet golden hour, under the wide Montana sky, he realized something that would stay with him forever. Sometimes, miracles don't come in thunder. They come in silence, in survival, in unity, in family. This story reminds us that true strength often lies in quiet resilience and unwavering care. In a world that moves fast and forgets easily, the elephants teach us to slow down, to protect what matters, and to cherish the bonds we build, even in silence. Harold's faith in nature, his patience, and his willingness to act without expectation show us that love is not loud, it's consistent. As we age, we learn that miracles don't always come with fanfare. They come in stillness, in presence, and in the moments when we choose to show up again and again.